Hey everybody, I'm back. Another episode of Tales from my spinner rack. So, you're going right to it. Oh, if you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Hit like, and if you have somebody, a fellow comics fan, who might enjoy this, please share this with them and leave lots of comments below. I like any and all comments. You could correct me on stuff. I'm not. It's just comics. I'm not going to go crazy social media on you. And let's start with a Phantom Eagle. So his only solo title. The first handful of issues, like for a year, Marvel Superheroes was a reprint book, I think. And then with issue 13, Captain Marvel, the green and white one, the Kree, he became the front feature, and there was reprints in the back. And no, this started off as Fantasy Masterpieces. That's right. It was one issue of Marvel Superheroes, then it became Marvel Fantasy Masterpieces. It reprinted a bunch of Golden Age comics of the big three, Namor, Captain America, and the Human Torch. So they decided to add some new, new characters in the front. They also concentrated on characters that didn't get a lot of love, like Kazar, who I never liked him. He's just a poor man's Tarzan. So at least he was back then. Beautiful. Herb Trimpe, he created, basically, let me see, who are the creators? Yeah, I forgot they do it on the inside here. That's just the production team. Look at all that. So much fun. So Herb Trimpe, and I think Gary Friedrich co-created the Phantom Eagle. With the thing with Herb Trimpe, though, he enlisted in the Air Force, and he did it for about 4 years back in 62 to 66 or so. And he was actually what they call like a weatherman, which supplied aviation weather for weather support, because back then, my father-in-law was a bomber pilot in World War II, and you had to really know the weather. It was a lot more flying by the seat of your pants, so to speak, than it is now. We had instruments back then, but they weren't like they are today. So you had to pay a lot of attention to the day's weather and all sorts of things. And what's interesting is my wife and my sister-in-law, they grew up with that sort of stuff, so they appreciate aviation. They appreciate weather and stuff like that, and they could predict the weather better than pretty much most meteorologists you see on TV. So Herb Trimpe had a love for aviation, and get this, he did the first, year or so of G.I. Joe, which hit huge in '84, I think, and that gave him a lot of royalties. And he bought a plane. He bought like a biplane that he would fly, and that's just totally cool. That's just amazing. So onto the book. Love the costume, and Herb is really in on this. And you have to love to draw planes if you're going to do a character. There's a World War I pilot, and though he is German born, he is not one of the Huns, and he's not one of he's kind of betraying the Nazis. So beautiful artwork here. I think he's inking himself too. And oh man, that's just great. So he does more than just fly. He gets up and close and personal, blowing up Zeppelins and taking names. So he vows to continue. Yep, Gary Friedrich and Herb Trimpe, The End, and Irving Watanabe, the inks. What's really wild is this issue here. Really scary looking stuff here. I'd shown this in an earlier episode of the Human Torch solo magazine that reprinted books from Strange Tales, as well as like the 50s version of the Torch. And here we got the 50s version of Captain America by John Romita, man. John Romita, baby. Beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. And then there's even more. Especially Pete Duncan Dropout. That's my favorite strip. That's actually a commercial. Black Knight, Joe Maneely, baby. Oof, it's like a grab bag of greatness. The Patriot, who I always liked. I always hate those short pants on some of those heroes, but Patriot's pretty cool. Submariner, yeah. By his creator, Bill Everett. So, there you go. I love that scene where he's falling down a elevator. Suffering Shad. He's always saying those wacky things. Come on, turn. And they don't say what's happened next issue, but here comes The Silver Sufferer. A double-sized book that probably should have been a single-sized book because there's a lot of flying and whining and crowing. Marvel Fanfare. I kind of cut out on this book for a while because finances, you know, $1.95 versus like a 75-cent dollar book. 75-cent book. What's really weird to me, I love the cover, but your eye goes left to right, and it almost looks like they flopped the figure, but probably not. So I took it upon myself to flip this over in Photoshop and just slap the logo on there real quick. Hang in there. I'm just all thumbs. There we go. Okay. See, I don't know. To me, that makes a lot more sense. And, you know, don't look at that part. That just makes a lot more sense. You know, what are you going to do? This is still a great issue, though. And like Fanfare sort of dropped off, like a lot of books. I had to really, like, you know, tighten my belt. Beautiful, beautiful artwork, layouts and story by Carl Potts, who created the Alien Legion, which I cannot believe has not been made into a movie yet. Terry Shoemaker, who I seem to remember first on Legion of Superheroes after Keith Giffen left, and he did some stuff later too. He did some stuff for First Comics, and I actually inked 3 pages of his stuff on the last issue of Heroes Reborn Iron Man number 12. And he changed his style to go more image-like, except his was more informed by actual knowledge of storytelling and figures. Figure that. Good stuff. And Carl Potts he's a really unique style too. And the only thing that I had there was a previous issue of Marvel Fanfare that had Spider-Man that it had no, it wasn't that. It was Daredevil, I think, that had no real backgrounds. And it's like, yeah, here we are at the Daily Bugle, and what, you know, are they moving? Are they, you know, it's like, where is everything? So sometimes a lot of these really good artists really, like, cut some corners, and are counting on the visuals of the figures and the faces, and that's neat. That's neato and stuff. But you know, you just kind of think, what's the dang deal here? It's like all the interior shots are made, you know, in a building that's you know, going out of business. Building out of business. You know what I'm saying? So beautiful. I love the art. Ooh, background. Wow, nifty. And like I said, so much like wow. I get that. I like that. But you know, the backgrounds are just gone. So we go to Captain Marvel, who I kind of liked her better. Monica Rambeau. She had a more, what do you call, a more interesting backstory. You know, growing up in Louisiana and such. But oh well, now she's Photon or whatever they call her. Story by Dennis Maloney, who I think did indie books. Pencils by Bob Hall, inks by Sienkiewicz, and I think it looks all the world to be like Sandy Plunkett did the colors. I mean, some of these really great artists, they'll just be like, hey, I just want to do this part and play around. So, although I have put her in my list of heroes way too powerful to be in the Avengers or any team book. So, nice back cover. Hoo-ha! That's beautiful. Okay, now we go into... This is an all-Marvel episode. I purposely chose titles with the word Marvel in it. Marvel Superheroes. Beautiful Herb Trimpe cover. I think he inked himself on this. This was when well within our Herb's tenure as Hulk artist, and usually they use reprinted covers from the they use the same covers that they did on the original issues that they reprint for Tales to Astonish. But once in a while they'd sneak a, you know, well, especially like if they had Namor, they never gave Namor the cover space because I think visually he's less exciting than the Hulk. But I got this coverless copy of this way back when, and it's drawn by John Buscema, who originally worked over Jack Kirby layouts on a couple of things, and I like it a lot. Mike Esposito's inking it, and whoa, okay, there we go. And you know, John Buscema is kind of still going by the grid that Kirby did. Oh man, I love that. The printing here is actually really bad. It's not my focus problem. It's and here comes Boomerang, who was always he struck me as goofy back then because he almost never used a boomerang. He had these little, like, I don't know, they look like checkers pieces. And that was like the majority of what he used. So here comes the Hulk. Oh, look at that, great John Buscema. The heft. And then just, you know, one good old kick and Hulk's down. Weird. This is a Jerry Grandinetti, and it's inked by Bill Everett. So stuff going on here, stuff going on, yada yada yada. Okay. Now on to Marvel Team Up '99. Frank Miller did this cover. Dave Simons inked it. He a great inker of that time, and he passed away. He has a there's like an inking. Shoot, I can't think of the name. They give these awards every year for good inkers, and Dave Simons has an official. They have an official award in his name. So Machine Man, huh? Yeah. Well, as I covered in the past, Kirby. He was my favorite Kirby 70s character ever, especially Marvel. And then it came back a year later after issue 9, and Marv Wolfman and Steve Ditko took over, and it was pretty. The art was nice, but Marv Wolfman was just sort of, I don't know what. He made a secret identity of Machine Man. He made him an insurance salesman. Can you think of any more possibly boring than a superhero with that identity? And I mean, just bizarre. So Jerry Bingham, some of his fairly new stuff, and Mike Esposito, and you know, exposition. Esposito is always a mixed bag to me. He could do really strong stuff depending on the artist, or he could do real crap by just tracing stuff. So this is really bad printing. See that? You can see all this stuff going on. So there's this Master of the Macabre. He's like, he combines sorcery and science. And it's funny how the Kirby image of Sandman, the costume, and the old-fashioned costume that Ditko created with the green striped shirt, they're always, depending on who the artist wants to have, what costume, it always switches back and forth. And there's Machine Man getting, there's a building in Atlanta that looks a lot like that, and I don't know how long that was around. So you're kind of, oh boy, exciting stuff. Really dumb, very one-dimensional characters. The guy who's always trying to get rich quick. He always has these crazy ideas, and that is Machine Man at Aaron Stack. And I like, why? why? And it never really goes anywhere. But Wolfman left to go to DC, and Tom DeFalco took over the the run of with Steve Ditko, and it actually got really enjoyable. It's like he just took the Jack Kirby kind of character of Machine Man and made him just kept going with it, keep it consistent. Oh, there we go, the old squish down so these two clowns could crash into each other. Oldest trick in the book. So they get away and get a load of this. At last I meet the world-famous web spinner. The Daily Bugle calls him a menace, but I'll reserve judgment, even though his inopportune arrival prevented Pam's rescue. I'm not sure what happened here. I'm not taking chances. According to the media, Machine Man's a mechanized marauder. I better take him down fast. They gotta stop reading papers and shit. It's just like, oh, I heard you're a bad guy. But, this is still way back when the two co-stars would fight. And, it is fun. It is fun. Come on, focus, baby, focus. There we go. He goes, I've been programmed for combat. I also play Mean Kazoo, and I'm a murderer backgammon. So they eventually work things out. And he's like, yeah, if I were a villain, I could pulp your bones, but I'm not. He's like, hey, good point. Really nice stuff. Jerry Bingham's really good stuff. Jerry Bingham, I love this. Gears Garver, who was a pal of Machine Man's, he puts this helicopter attachment to the head because they got to go way out to like the suburbs. And it's just the kind of thing that Jack would come up with, Jack Kirby. It's corny cool. It's like it's cool and it's corny and vice versa. So that's a great shot there. Roll out the Sandman. Do 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 do. So you got all kinds of stuff going on here. Lots of stuff. Falling for the old web over the eyes trick. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Did I say it was fun? Yeah. Well, Jerry Bingham, he went on to do First Comics. He did he went on to do a graphic novel for First Comics that was Beowulf, based on the legendary Beowulf. And then he did, like 2 graphic novels with Batman, which introduced Batman's son from, I can't think of her name, Talia. And for the longest time, I don't know if that was considered canon, but it's been canon for the last 5-10 years. So here we go. AntMan. This is the second issue of the 2-parter. Love that. Love it. I think, let me see, is that Cockrum? Cockrum and McLeod. Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, I just remember being so astonished by seeing the astonishing Ant-Man. David Michelini and Bob Layton are basically the creators, and John Byrne was along for the ride. And it was neat. You could pick up a random book like this and see some top-notch creators. Big old pink guy. It's a long story. It's this bad guy. He doesn't want to die, so he's been harvesting hearts to replace his wounded heart. And he's getting a reaction. And it turns out that his pacemaker is working too hard, and he needed constant implants. And he grabbed a bunch of homeless people. So, Scott Lang says, "You kidnap people and steal their hearts? My God, Cross, that's inhuman." And it's like that's dark, especially for back then. And got some delicious Byrne Layton art going on here, and the little ants come by. Oh, this is a Marie Severin ad. Doing her except for that's Frank Bruner paste up from a previous issue. And what happens is his chest wears out. His heart wears out. And this woman, Dr. Sondheim, she was going to, instead of putting a new heart in, she put in his old heart. So because it was already worn from the strain, of fighting, and she felt bad. She was supposed to save lives instead of end them, but I couldn't deal with the horrors. And you know, whoop, epilogue loogie. There we go. And Yellow Jacket finds Scott Lang. He goes, "Okay, Pym, if you're here then you must know the full story. I'll come along peaceably." And he's like, "Hey, you could be the Ant-Man, because I was following you the whole time." And the only reason Ant-Man didn't step in is he got zapped by some security ray beam thingy. And there's a little gag from George Perez from the Band Wolf issue where it's Larry, Moe, and Curly. So fun stuff. So I just went all in on Marvel this episode, and I hope you like it. If it brings back memories, if you want me to cover something else, then you know, comments below. And I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter, and there's some other things I want to be on, but it's too much commitment. You know, I got things to do. So have a great day, everybody. Bye.